immersive narrative outline and script sample for the first 10 chapters of your audiobook. It is written to give the narrator clear cues, establish the deep lore of the Age of Resurgence, and maintain the steady, culturally respectful power progression you outlined. Title: Reincarnated with a God tier system in 2040. Full 1000 chapter. Chapter 1, The Broken Meridians and the Golden Wheel. Narrator tone: solemn, ancient, echoing with the weight of history. The scene: the year is 2040. The narrator briefly recounts the pranic resurgence, the day the skies tore open, bathing Earth in spiritual energy and unleashing the extraterritorial demons, Asuras. We zoom into the ancestral estate of the Roy clan in Bengal. Patriarch Baitan Roy, a Tier 1 Prana Initiate, Level 3, sits in the lotus position in his secluded chamber. He is desperate. His family's territory is failing, and rival clans are closing in. Baitan attempts a forced breakthrough into Tier 2, Chakra Warrior. The spiritual energy in the room turns chaotic. Blood violently bursts from his pores. His meridians shatter. Baitan collapses, his life force extinguishing. The shift, silence falls over the room. Then, a subtle shift in the atmosphere occurs. A soul from another time, Vivaan, a warrior sage of immense past life discipline, awakens within Baitan's cooling body. The system awakening. Ding. A soul of immense karmic weight detected. The Dharma Sign-In System is now bound to the host. Vivaan opens his eyes, coughing up a mouthful of black, coagulated blood. He assesses the shattered body. He is at death's door. System: sign-in at the host's deathbed. Sign-in successful. Location: ancestral meditation chamber. Spiritual resonance: high, centuries of ancestral prayers. Reward: the Suryavansha, solar, bloodline. A warm, golden light floods the room. Vivaan feels the divine heat of the sun god, Surya, enter his veins. The shattered meridians do not just heal, they expand, turning from fragile human pathways into rivers of pure, golden prana. Without a sound, Vivaan's cultivation breaks through the bottleneck that killed Baitan. He smoothly enters Tier 2, Chakra Warrior, Level 4. Chapter 2, The Vulture's Circle. Narrator tone: tense, transitioning to a warm but melancholy focus on family. The scene: morning breaks. Vivaan, now fully assimilated into Baitan's memories, understands the grave danger the Roy clan is in. He decides to keep his breakthrough a secret. He suppresses his golden prana, lying back on the bed and simulating a deep, sickly coma. The doors burst open. Baitan's eldest son, Dev, Level 2, and daughter, Tara, Level 1, rush in, accompanied by the family physician. Dev's voice is frantic, hot-blooded, and filled with grief. Tara weeps silently, gripping her father's hand. Vivaan feels a profound connection to these children through Baitan's residual emotions. He makes a silent vow to the departed soul: your family is my family now. I will bear your burdens. Outside the estate, the narrator describes the arrival of the Mukherjee clan, a rival Tier 2 family. They have come under the guise of paying respects, but their true intent is to confirm Baitan's death and seize the Roy family's spiritual jade mines. Chapter 3, The Art of Feigning Death. Narrator tone: calculated, observant, highlighting Vivaan's tactical mind. The scene: the Mukherjee elders sit in the Roy clan's receiving hall, sipping tea with arrogant smiles. Dev tries to maintain a strong front, but he is young and easily goaded. From his chambers, Vivaan uses his newly awakened Tier 2 senses. He can hear a pin drop in the receiving hall 3 courtyards away. He listens to the Mukherjee patriarch, a Level 4 Chakra Warrior, casually threaten Dev with a merger of their families. Vivaan's mind is a calm ocean. He knows if he reveals his Level 4 strength now, the Mukherjees will ally with the Singh clan to crush the Roys in a unified strike. Let them think the lion is dead, Vivaan muses inwardly, so the hyenas will fight over the scraps. He sends a microscopic, invisible thread of prana to Dev, subtly calming the boy's racing heart, preventing Dev from drawing his sword and getting himself killed. Chapter 4, The Ancestral Armory. Audiobook note: this chapter serves as the first deep lore interlude. The scene: midnight. The estate is asleep. Vivaan rises from his bed. His movements are entirely silent, completely devoid of the heavy footsteps of a mortal. He slips past the guards and enters the subterranean vault of the Roy clan, an armory built upon a pre-resurgence temple. System: sign-in at the ancestral armory. Sign-in successful. Spiritual resonance: ancient, Vedic origins. Reward: the Agniastra, fire weapon. The lore: the narrator's voice deepens, accompanied by the faint crackle of an ancient fire. The Agniastra is not merely a flaming sword, it is a conceptual weapon of fire, gifted by Agni, the god of fire, in the ancient epics. It embodies the purifying and destructive aspects of the flame. Vivaan summons the Astra. A miniature, blindingly bright sun hovers above his palm. The system immediately issues a warning: warning. Host is currently Tier 2. Full manifestation of the Agniastra requires Tier 4, Maharati, cultivation. Attempting to use this weapon will result in catastrophic spiritual recoil. Vivaan smiles calmly. He respects the laws of Dharma and cultivation. He will not rush. Chapter 5, Forging the Embers. Narrator tone: methodical, focused on the art of creation and paternal care. The scene: Vivaan sits cross-legged in the armory. Using the supreme control of his Suryavansha bloodline, he acts as a human crucible. He carefully extracts 2 minuscule sparks from the dormant Agniastra. The effort causes sweat to bead on his forehead, a reminder that he is still mortal, still bound to level 4. He takes Dev's heavy broadsword and Terra's twin sabers from the weapon racks. Over the next 3 hours, he meticulously infuses the divine sparks into the steel. The blades glow a dull, menacing crimson before returning to normal. They are no longer ordinary steel, they are now mid-grade spiritual weapons. He returns to his chambers, leaving the weapons by his bedside, and resumes his sickly facade. Chapter 6, Shadows in the Courtyard. Narrator tone, fast-paced, stealthy, emphasizing the brutal efficiency of a true master. The scene, the Mukherjee clan, impatient and greedy, sends 3 level 3 Prana initiates to assassinate the comatose Baitan in the dead of night. The assassins infiltrate the estate, bypassing the perimeter alarms. They enter Vivaan's room, drawing poisoned daggers. Vivaan doesn't even open his eyes. As the lead assassin strikes, Vivaan's hand snaps up, catching the blade between 2 fingers. The assassin's eyes widen in terror as a surge of golden prana travels up the dagger, shattering it. In a display of absolute Tier 2 dominance, Vivaan moves like a phantom. He uses basic physical strikes augmented by heavy prana. A palm to the chest stops the first assassin's heart. A swift, silent strike to the throat drops the second. The third tries to flee, but Vivaan uses a basic elemental mantra, a blade of compressed air, to sever his spine. Vivaan disposes of the bodies using a drop of his golden prana to turn them to ash, leaving no trace. The Roy estate remains entirely peaceful. Chapter 7, Breaking Bread. Narrator tone, warm, emotionally grounded, emphasizing wholesome family dynamics. The scene, the next morning, Vivaan miraculously wakes from his coma, though he pretends to be incredibly weak, leaning heavily on a cane. Dev and Tara are overjoyed, tears streaming down their faces. A lavish breakfast is prepared. Vivaan insists they all eat together, a tradition Baitan had neglected in his obsession with cultivation. Vivaan serves his children rice and lentils with his own hands, a gesture of profound humility and love that shocks them. After the meal, he presents them with the newly forged swords. He tells them he spent his remaining spiritual energy blessing the blades while in his coma. A family is like a tree, Vivaan tells them, his voice calm and ancient. The roots must be deep and nourished, or the branches will break in the storm. You are my branches. Grow strong. Chapter 8, The Viper's Banquet. Narrator tone, grand, setting the stage for social conflict and aristocratic tension. The scene, a week later. The Mukherjee clan hosts a grand banquet for the regional martial factions, ostensibly to celebrate a new jade vein, but truly to publicly humiliate the Roys and force a surrender. Since Baitan, Vivaan, is too weak to attend, Dev and Tara represent the family. The banquet hall is extravagant, filled with low-level cultivators displaying their wealth. The Mukherjee heir, a proud level 3 initiate on the verge of level 4, steps forward. He openly mocks the Roy clan's decline and formally challenges Dev to a friendly duel to demonstrate the gap between their futures. Dev, remembering his father's calm demeanor, accepts the challenge without anger, drawing his newly forged broadsword. Chapter 9, Sparks of the Suryavancha. Narrator tone, high-energy combat, explosive and satisfying. The scene, the duel begins. The Mukherjee heir uses a flashy, water-based sword art, moving quickly and trying to overwhelm Dev. Dev struggles initially, pushed back by the sheer volume of his opponent's attacks. Suddenly, Dev channels his prana into his sword. The spark of the Agniastra awakens. A wave of intense, blistering heat washes over the banquet hall. The water from the Mukherjee heir's sword art instantly vaporizes into steam. Dev swings his blade, and a crescent of pure, crimson fire erupts from the steel. The attack shatters the Mukherjee heir's weapon and sends him flying across the hall, his robe singed and his pride broken. The room falls dead silent. The Roy clan is not helpless. The children have fangs. Chapter 10, The Silent Hunter. Narrator tone, cold, majestic, and deeply ominous. The scene, while the banquet is in utter chaos over Dev's victory, the narrative cuts across the city to the Mukherjee clan's main compound. It is heavily guarded but currently lacking its best fighters. Vivaan stands on the roof of a neighboring building, his golden prana masking his presence entirely. He descends into the compound like a god of death. System, sign in at the Mukherjee spiritual vault. Sign in successful. Reward, the mantra of silence, minor utility art, ... Vivaan instantly learns the mantra, chanting it softly. A dome of absolute silence expands around him. He walks through the compound, bypassing guards. He finds the Mukherjee patriarch who stayed behind to cultivate sitting in his chamber. The patriarch opens his eyes, sensing danger, but it is too late. Vivaan doesn't use weapons. He steps forward, his hand glowing with the terrifying heat of the Suryavancha. You coveted my home, Vivaan whispers, his voice carrying the weight of a judge. Now, yours belongs to the ashes. A single, devastating palm strike to the patriarch's chest obliterates his internal organs. The Mukherjee leader dies without a sound. Vivaan vanishes into the night, setting the stage for the Roy clan's inevitable rise. Here is the next batch of chapters, continuing the steady pacing of Arc 1, The Patriarch's Shadow. We focus on the fallout of the Mukherjee patriarch's death, the consolidation of the Roy family's power, and the build-up to the deep lore interlude in Chapter 20. Chapter 11, The Lion's Alibi. Narrator tone, suspenseful, transitioning into calm, domestic serenity. The scene, dawn breaks over Bengal. The Mukherjee compound is in absolute pandemonium. The guards have discovered their patriarch dead in his meditation chamber. No wounds, no signs of struggle, just a completely incinerated internal meridian network. Panic spreads like wildfire through the local martial underworld. Back at the Roy ancestral estate, the atmosphere is entirely different. The sun filters through the banyan trees. Vivaan is sitting on the veranda, sipping spiced Darjeeling tea, a thick woolen shawl wrapped around his frail shoulders. Dev and Tara rush in, breathless, carrying the morning's intelligence reports. Dev's eyes are wide. Father. The Mukherjee patriarch is dead. Assassinated. The rumor mill says a Tier 3 master must have passed through the city. Vivaan slowly sets his teacup down. His face registers mild, perfectly executed surprise. Is that so? He murmurs, his ancient voice filled with gentle melancholy. The path of cultivation is fraught with sudden ends. We must send a wreath of white lotuses to their estate. It is the dharmic thing to do. Tara, sharper than her brother, studies her father's serene face. She notices that for a man who just lost his greatest rival, her father is completely unbothered. A seed of awe and suspicion is planted in her mind. Chapter 12, Seizing the Jade. Narrator tone, fast-paced and tactical. The scene, with the Mukherjee family in chaos and their heir humiliated, their grip on the region's spiritual jade mines falters. The Singh clan, the other major rival, prepares to swoop in and steal the territory. Vivaan calls Dev and Tara. He does not go with them. Instead, he hands Tara a map with 3 specific transit routes circled. The Singhs are greedy, but predictable, Vivaan instructs, his tone that of a seasoned general. Do not fight them at the mines. Cut off their supply lines here, here, and here. Tara takes command. While Dev provides the raw, explosive firepower with his fire-infused broadsword, Tara uses her twin sabers and her sharp intellect to ambush the Singh clan's supply convoys. The siblings work perfectly in tandem. Within 3 days, the Roys have secured the Mukherjee jade mines without shedding a drop of their own blood, outmaneuvering the Singhs entirely. Chapter 13, The Foundation of Dharma. Narrator tone, instructional, focusing on the mechanics of the world's magic system. The scene, the family's wealth is secure, but Vivaan knows raw resources mean nothing without proper foundations. He reviews the Roy family's ancestral cultivation manual and finds it deeply flawed. It focuses too much on aggressively absorbing prana, which is exactly what killed Baitan. Late at night, Vivaan uses his memories of his past life to write a new manual. He binds it in old leather to make it look ancient. The next morning, he presents it to his children. I found this hidden beneath the floorboards of the armory, he lies smoothly. It is the Pranayama Sutra. It focuses on breath, circulation, and purifying the spiritual veins before expanding them. He forces Dev and Tara to unlearn their aggressive techniques and start over. At first, Dev is frustrated by the slow, meditative breathing exercises. But after a week, Dev realizes his prana reserves have doubled, and the fiery recoil from his sword no longer burns his hands. The family is building a flawless foundation. Chapter 14, Sign-In at the leyline. Narrator tone, mystical, emphasizing the connection between the earth and the heavens. The scene, Vivaan finally leaves the estate to inspect the newly acquired jade mines in the rural outskirts of the city. The miners are terrified of monster attacks, as the mine borders a minor wild zone. Vivaan walks deep into the cavern, away from the foreman. He places his hand on the raw, glowing green stone pulsing with the earth's energy. System, sign-in at the ruined leyline. Sign-in successful. Spiritual resonance, high, earth element. Reward, the Bhumikavika, earth armor mantra, ... Knowledge floods Vivaan's mind. It is a defensive art that draws prana directly from the ground to create an invisible, indestructible skin. He smiles. He now has the ultimate offense, Suryavansha fire, and the ultimate defense. His Tier 2 foundation is becoming terrifyingly solid. Chapter 15, The Beast Wave. Narrator tone, high-stakes action, visceral and intense. The scene, a siren wails. The scent of raw jade has attracted a swarm of mutated beasts from the wild zone, dire boars with stone-plated armor and razor-sharp tusks. The miners scatter in terror. Dev and Tara leap into action at the cavern entrance. Dev's broadsword cleaves through the boars, leaving trails of crimson fire. Tara is a blur, her twin sabers finding the weak points in the beast's stone armor. But there are too many. A massive, level 3 alpha boar charges directly at Tara. Dev is too far away to help. Deep in the cavern, Vivaan stamps his foot. He does not draw a weapon. He silently triggers the Bhumikavika. A shockwave of earth-aligned prana ripples through the ground, turning the soil beneath the alpha boar into a localized, instantaneous earthquake. The beast loses its footing, stumbling just long enough for Tara to cleanly decapitate it. The miners cheer for the Roy children. No one notices the frail patriarch leaning on his cane in the shadows, a faint golden light fading from his eyes. Chapter 16, The Singh Clan's Gambit. Narrator tone, treacherous, filled with political intrigue. The scene, the Singh clan patriarch, realizing the Roys are growing too strong, attempts a political assassination. He invites Vivaan to a neutral tea house in the city center, heavily implying that refusing will result in a unified coalition against the Roys. Dev begs his father not to go, but Vivaan simply dresses in his finest traditional robes. A tiger does not fear a gathering of foxes, Vivaan tells his son. At the tea house, the Singh patriarch sits with 2 masked mercenaries, both level 4 chakra warriors hired from a rogue sect. The Singh patriarch smirks, thinking he has trapped a weak, sick man. He demands 50% of the jade mines, or the mercenaries will escort Vivaan to the afterlife. Chapter 17, Tea and Killing Intent. Narrator tone, heavy, oppressive, slowing down time to focus on spiritual pressure. The scene, Vivaan does not even blink at the threat. He slowly pours himself a cup of tea. You rely on borrowed swords, Vivaan says softly. That is your first mistake. The mercenaries sneer and release their level 4 spiritual auras, attempting to crush Vivaan under the sheer pressure of their energy. The teacups rattle. The wooden table cracks. Vivaan meets their gaze. He stops suppressing his Suryavansha bloodline. For a fraction of a second, he unleashes the pure, unadulterated gravity of a sun. The spiritual pressure in the room shifts from a heavy weight to an incinerating heat. The two mercenaries gasp for air, their auras shattering instantly. They fall to their knees, coughing up blood, their meridians heavily damaged just by the proximity of Vivaan's golden prana. The Singh patriarch freezes in absolute terror. Vivaan takes a sip of his tea. The jade mines remain ours. And you will pay for this tea. Are we in agreement? The Singh patriarch violently nods. Chapter 18, Letters from the Capital. Narrator tone, hopeful, expansive, looking toward the horizon. The scene, a week passes in peace. The Singhs have completely backed off, terrified of the hidden masters protecting the Roy clan. A messenger eagle, bound in spiritual armor, arrives at the estate bearing wax-sealed letters. They are from the prestigious National Martial Academy in the capital. Because of their stellar performance in securing the mines and fighting the beast wave, both Dev and Tara have been invited to enroll in the upcoming semester. This is a massive leap in social status. Baitan's original dream was merely to keep the estate afloat. Vivaan is preparing his children to step onto the national stage. The family celebrates, but Vivaan pulls them aside. The academy is a den of dragons and tigers, he warns them. You will face children of ancient dynasties. Rely on the Pranayama Sutra. Cultivate your hearts, not just your fists. Chapter 19, Packing the Arsenal. Narrator tone, quiet, sentimental, focusing on preparation. The scene, the night before the children leave. Vivaan is in his study. He cannot go with them to the academy, he must remain to anchor the estate and continue his own silent progression. He prepares two parting gifts. For Dev, he crafts a set of bracers inscribed with a minor gravity reduction mantra, allowing him to swing his heavy broadsword faster. For Tara, he gives a spatial ring, a rare artifact he looted from the Mukherjee patriarch, filled with pure jade for their cultivation. As they pack, Tara hugs her father tightly. She whispers, I know you are doing more than you let us see, father. Thank you. Vivaan simply smiles and pats her head. The patriarch's shadow protects them, even from afar. Chapter 20, Deep Lore Interlude, The Veins of the Earth. Audiobook note, this is the first scheduled lore interlude. The narrator's voice should drop into a storytelling cadence, accompanied by the faint, ambient sounds of chanting and shifting earth. The lore, before the pranic resurgence of 2040, humanity thought oil and gold were the Earth's greatest treasures. They were wrong. The narrator explains the concept of nadis, the spiritual veins of the planet. Just as prana flows through the human body, it flows through the earth. Thousands of years ago, during the Vedic age, these ley lines flowed freely, creating an era of gods and heroes. But as humanity turned to industrialization, the ley lines suffocated, turning into fossilized, dormant spiritual energy, jade. When the extraterritorial demons, Asuras, tore open the dimensional rifts, the shockwave shattered the Earth's crust, exposing these ancient jade veins. The Asuras feed on this jade to survive in our atmosphere. Human cultivators mine it to fuel their own power. The narrator details that the Forbidden Zones are not just random portals, they are located directly over the planetary chakras, the major intersections of the ley lines. The Asuras are trying to plunge their roots into the Earth's heart. Cultivators are not just fighting for power, they are fighting to prevent the planet itself from being drained dry. This establishes the cosmic stakes early on, giving meaning to the petty squabbles over the jade mines in the previous chapters. Chapter 21, The Gates of Indraprastha. Narrator tone, grand, sweeping, emphasizing the overwhelming scale of the world outside the provinces. The scene, the narrative shifts to the capital city, Indraprastha, a sprawling metropolis where hypermodern skyscrapers are intertwined with massive, floating spiritual pagodas. Dev and Tara step off the maglev train, immediately hit by the sheer density of the ambient prana in the air. They arrive at the gates of the National Martial Academy. The contrast is stark. Dev and Tara wear simple, functional martial robes. Around them, the children of the ancient dynasties step out of hover chariots drawn by bioengineered beasts, wearing silks woven with defensive arrays. They encounter a group of students from the Kuru faction, arrogant youths claiming descent from ancient mythological kings. The Kuru leader, a level 3 initiate named Duryodhan, a namesake taken to honor his ancestors, openly mocks the Roy's provincial aura. Dev bristles and reaches for his broadsword, but Tara places a calming hand on his wrist, reminding him of their father's teachings, a tiger does not fear a gathering of foxes. They walk past the bullies in silent dignity. Chapter 22, The Foundation. Monolith. Narrator tone, analytical and focused, highlighting the superiority of Vivaan's teachings. The scene, the entrance examination begins. It is not a combat test, but a test of foundation. Students must place their hands on the prana monolith, a massive pillar of black stone that measures the purity and density of their spiritual energy. The dynasty children score incredibly high on raw output, their prana chaotic and violently bright. Duryodhan scores a blinding purple, drawing gasps from the instructors. When it is Dev and Tara's turn, they remember the Pranayama Sutra their father forced them to learn. They do not push their energy violently. Instead, they breathe. Inhale. Exhale. They let their prana flow like a calm, deep river. When they touch the monolith, it does not flash blindly. Instead, a deep, solid golden light, influenced by the dormant Suryavansha sparks in their bodies, fills the stone from the bottom up, completely devoid of impurities. The chief instructor, a level 6 elder, widens his eyes. He has not seen such a flawless, stable foundation in decades. The Roys are immediately placed in the elite class. Chapter 23, The Patriarch's Shadow Guard. Narrator tone, cold, methodical, transitioning back to the hidden mastermind. The scene, back in Bengal, the Roy estate is flourishing. With the mines secure and the children away, Vivaan focuses on long-term fortification. He knows Tier 2 is not enough for the cosmic storms ahead. He ventures deep into the estate's hidden cellars. He has gathered 12 orphans and street fighters from the slums of the city, those discarded by the rival sections. System, sign-in at the training grounds. Sign-in successful. Reward, the Vedic mantra, wind walk art. Vivaan does not teach them the royal Pranayama Sutra, that is for family. Instead, he teaches them the Vedic mantra, an art focused on absolute silence, speed, and lethal precision. He christens them the Marat Guard, named after the storm deities. He provides them with purified jade and sets a single rule, absolute loyalty to the Roy bloodline. Vivaan is no longer just a father, he is building a covered army. Chapter 24, Whispers in the Blood. Narrator tone, mystical, intimate, demonstrating the deep spiritual bond of the family. The scene, 3 months pass. At the academy, the elite class is subjected to a brutal survival exercise in an artificial gravity chamber. The Kuru faction bribes an instructor to increase the gravity in Dev and Tara's sector to lethal levels, attempting to cripple them before the upcoming midterm tournament. Dev and Tara are pinned to the floor, their bones creaking under 10x gravity. Tara is coughing blood. Hundreds of miles away, Vivaan is meditating. He successfully breaks through to Tier 2, Level 5. The surge in his Suryavansha bloodline unlocks a minor Siddhi, mystic power bloodline telepathy. He immediately senses the agonizing pressure crushing his children. He does not panic. He closes his eyes and reaches across the distance through the golden threads of their shared blood. Chapter 25, The Mahamrityunjaya Mantra. Narrator tone, reverent, powerful, echoing with ancient divinity. The scene, in the gravity chamber, Dev's vision goes dark. Suddenly, a voice echoes in his mind, calm, ancient, and boundlessly warm. Breathe, my son. The mountain does not bow to the wind. It simply endures. Vivaan transmits the syllables of the Mahamrityunjaya Mantra, the great death-conquering chant, directly into their minds. It is a legendary Vedic chant dedicated to Lord Shiva, meant for profound healing and spiritual fortitude. Guided by their father's voice, Dev and Tara begin to chant it mentally. A faint, silver aura wraps around their internal organs, protecting them from the crushing gravity. Their fractured bones mend instantly. To the absolute shock of the observing instructors and the sneering Kuru faction, Dev and Tara slowly stand up under the 10x gravity, their eyes burning with quiet, unshakable resolve. Chapter 26, The Midterm Tournament. Narrator tone, high energy, shifting to a classic martial arts tournament atmosphere. The scene, the midterm martial tournament begins. The entire academy is watching in the grand amphitheater. This tournament determines resource allocation for the next year. Because they survived the gravity chamber, Dev and Tara are highly seeded, which makes them prime targets. The bracket is manipulated. Tara is matched against a senior disciple of the Kuru faction, a level 4 chakra warrior who uses a heavy halberd. Tara is still at the peak of level 2. The crowd expects a massacre. Tara steps onto the arena, her twin sabers drawn. She closes her eyes, remembering her father's lessons on the veranda, and the rhythm of the Mahamrityunjaya Mantra. Chapter 27, The Dance of the Twin Sabers. Narrator tone, fast-paced, tactical, highlighting intellect over brute force. The scene, the match begins. The Kuru senior attacks with overwhelming, explosive force. His halberd shatters the stone floor of the arena with every strike. Tara does not block. Using the pure jade foundation she cultivated, she is impossibly light on her feet. She flows around the heavy strikes like water. The Kuru senior grows enraged, expending massive amounts of prana to increase his speed. Tara waits for the exact moment his breathing breaks, a flaw she can spot thanks to the Pranayama Sutra. When he overextends on a massive downward cleave, Tara steps into his guard. Her sabers, forged in her father's fire, flash. She doesn't kill him, she cleanly severs the spiritual meridians in his wrists, disarming him instantly. The arena erupts into shocked silence as the Tier 2 province girl defeats a Tier 4 elite. Chapter 28, Fire Meets Lightning. Narrator tone, explosive, fierce, and deeply satisfying. The scene, next is Dev's match. He is pitted against Duryodhan himself. Duryodhan possesses a mutated lightning prana, making him incredibly fast and destructive. Duryodhan coats himself in lightning and charges, mocking Dev's sluggish broadsword. But Dev activates the gravity reduction bracers his father made. The heavy broadsword suddenly swings with the speed of a rapier. Duryodhan is caught off guard but counters with a massive lightning blast. Dev channels his prana. The dormant spark of the Agniastra inside his blade awakens. Crimson fire clashes against purple lightning in the center of the arena. The shockwave shatters the energy barriers protecting the audience. Dev, supported by the flawless foundation of his father's teachings, slowly overpowers the chaotic, undisciplined lightning. With a final roar, Dev's fiery blade shatters Duryodhan's armor, sending the arrogant noble crashing into the arena wall, unconscious. Chapter 29, The Shadow over Indraprastha. Narrator tone, ominous, dropping the tempo to build dread. The scene, the Roy siblings are hailed as prodigies. They celebrate in their dorms, looking at the spatial ring and bracers their father gave them, wishing he was there to see it. However, beneath the academy, deep in the subterranean bedrock, something is reacting to the massive clash of prana during the tournament. The narrator describes a dormant spatial fissure, a rift to a forbidden zone. The lock on the dimensional gate begins to crack. Black, toxic miasma slowly leaks into the lowest levels of the academy's basements, mutating the rats and insects into grotesque, many-eyed horrors. The extraterritorial demons have caught the scent of the students above. Chapter 30, The System's warning. Narrator tone, urgent, epic, setting up the climax of the arc. The scene, back in Bengal, Vivaan is meditating in the armory. The golden light of the Suryavansha bloodline surrounds him. He is pushing toward level 6. Suddenly, the system interface flashes a blinding, violent red, an anomaly he has never seen before. Warning. Massive spatial collapse detected in Indraprastha coordinates. Class A Forbidden Zone opening. Demonic incursion imminent. High probability of host's bloodline extinction. Vivaan's eyes snap open. The gentle, melancholic patriarch vanishes, replaced entirely by the aura of an ancient, terrifying warlord. The time for hiding in the shadows is over. He stands up, his golden prana melting the stone floor beneath his feet. Merit guard, his voice echoes through the compound, cold as the void of space. 12 silent shadows drop from the ceiling, kneeling before him. Prepare the fastest transport ship, Vivaan orders. We are going to the capital. Here is the next installment, covering chapters 31 through 40. This sequence fulfills a crucial part of your outline. The academy outbreak where the grandchildren must survive and lead on their own, proving the superiority of the foundation Vivaan gave them before he makes his grand entrance. Chapter 31, The Shattered Veil. Narrator tone, chaotic, terrifying, shifting from tournament excitement to survival horror. The scene, the National Martial Academy is still buzzing from the midterm tournament. In the medical wing, Duryodhan is recovering from his fiery defeat. In the elite dormitories, Dev and Tara are resting. Suddenly, the ambient prana in the air violently inverts. The academy's spiritual alarm arrays scream a high-pitched, soul-piercing wail. From the central courtyard, the ground violently erupts. Slabs of marble are thrown hundreds of feet into the air. A geyser of pitch black, suffocating miasma shoots into the sky, blotting out the sun. The rift to the Class A Forbidden Zone is fully open. The first wave of extraterritorial demons pours out. They are level 1 and level 2 foot soldiers skittering, multi-limbed horrors with carapace armor made of corrupted jade. They swarm the lower courtyards, slaughtering the unprepared academy guards in seconds. The pristine grounds of Indraprastha are instantly turned into a slaughterhouse. Chapter 32, The Anchor in the Storm. Narrator tone, tense, deeply psychological, focusing on the calm amidst panic. The scene, panic grips the student body. The elite children of the ancient dynasties, who have only ever fought in controlled arenas, break down in sheer terror at the sight of real, butchering asuras. Tara and Dev rush to their balcony. Below them, students are being trampled as they flee toward the main gates. Dev grips his broadsword, his hands shaking slightly. He is brave, but he has never seen war. A familiar, ancient voice cuts through the chaos directly into their minds. It is Vivaan, utilizing his bloodline telepathy from hundreds of miles away. Do not look at the swarm, my children, Vivaan's voice commands, steady as a mountain. Look at the flow of the enemy. They are chaotic, undisciplined beasts. You are the heirs of the Suryavansha. Draw your blades. Anchor yourselves. I am coming. The trembling in Dev's hands stops. He looks at Tara. They nod in unison. They do not run toward the gates, they leap down into the courtyard. Chapter 33, Forging the Vanguard. Narrator tone, heroic, fast-paced, highlighting leadership and tactical brilliance. The scene, a pack of level 2 Asuras corners a group of terrified first-year students. Just as the beasts lunge, a crescent of crimson fire obliterates the front ranks. Dev lands heavily, his broadsword glowing white-hot. Tara lands a second later, her sabers drawn. Form up behind us. Tara screams over the din of battle, her voice magically amplified by the Pranayama Sutra. The gates are clogged. If you run, you die. If you stand with us, you live. Desperation makes people compliant. A dozen students, including some who had mocked the Roys just days ago, rally behind them. Dev activates his gravity reduction bracers and steps forward, acting as a fiery bulwark against the incoming tide. Tara darts between his strikes, finishing off the demons that slip past his heavy blade. They have formed the tip of the spear. Chapter 34, The Purifying Flame. Narrator tone, visceral, focusing on the elemental superiority of the family's legacy. The scene, the students quickly realize why Dev and Tara are so effective. The Asuras generate a toxic miasma that slowly poisons the prana of ordinary cultivators, making them sluggish and weak. But the Agniastra spark within Dev's sword, and the pure foundation of the Mahamrityunjaya mantra they chant in their minds, makes them completely immune. The divine heat of their weapons incinerates the miasma upon contact. Word spreads through the chaotic campus. Rally to the Roy siblings. Follow the fire. More and more surviving students flock to their position. Unintentionally, Dev and Tara are doing exactly what their grandfather did in the provinces. They are building an army out of sheer necessity and superior dharma. Chapter 35, The Cowardice of Kings. Narrator tone, disgusted, sharp, focusing on the contrast between true nobility and inherited arrogance. The scene, Dev and Tara are slowly leading a group of nearly 200 students toward the structurally reinforced Grand Assembly Hall. They intersect with a group of Kuru faction elites, led by a heavily bandaged Duryodhan. The Kuru elites have commandeered a hovering armored transport. They are shoving lower-tier students out of the way to board it and flee the academy. Take us with you, a wounded student begs. There's no room for commoners. Duryodhan snaps, kicking the student away. Dev sees this. He doesn't hesitate. He hurls his heavy broadsword like a javelin. It embeds itself directly into the transport's primary thruster, melting it instantly. The transport crashes heavily to the ground. Duryodhan screams in fury, but Dev stalks toward him, ripping his sword from the wreckage. You claim the blood of kings, Dev snarls, the heat of the Suryavansha flaring in his eyes. Kings protect their people. You fight with us, or I will end you before the demons do. Terrified by Dev's killing intent, the Kuru faction submits. Chapter 36, The Siege of the Grand Hall. Narrator tone, claustrophobic, desperate, emphasizing endurance. The scene, the survivors barricade themselves inside the Grand Assembly Hall. Outside, thousands of demons hurl themselves against the thick spiritual glass. The structural wards are failing. Tara takes command of the defense. She empties the spatial ring her father gave her, dumping hundreds of pure jade stones onto the floor. Focus your prana into the jade, Tara, Vivaan's telepathic voice whispers softly. Visualize the roots of the banyan tree. Connect the stones. Guided by her father, Tara creates a temporary, rudimentary array. The jade stones glow, creating a secondary energy shield over the hall's doors. It buys them time, but Tara is draining her prana rapidly to maintain it. Dev stands at the front of the barricade, exhausted, his arms covered in minor cuts, waiting for the breach. Chapter 37, Flight of the Maruts. Narrator tone, cold, high speed, transitioning to a highly militaristic and stealthy vibe. The scene, cut away to the skies over India. A matte black, stealth transport ship tears through the clouds at Mach 4. Inside, the hold is entirely dark. The 12 assassins of the Marut Guard sit in absolute, terrifying silence. At the head of the compartment sits Vivaan. He is no longer wearing his simple provincial robes. He is clad in the Bhumikavika, earth armor, which manifests as sleek, dark grayscale armor that seems to swallow the light. He is meditating, his consciousness split between guiding his grandchildren and pushing his own cultivation to the absolute edge. He is absorbing pure, liquefied prana drops from the system. The air around him ripples with unbearable gravity. He is violently forcing his way through level 6, aiming straight for the Tier 3 boundary. Chapter 38, Breaking the Line. Narrator tone, heart-pounding, tragic, focusing on willpower over bodily limits. The scene, the Grand Hall's doors finally shatter. The jade array explodes, throwing Tara backward. The swarm pours in. Dev roars and meets them head-on. He is a whirlwind of fire, but there are simply too many. A level 2 elite demon slips past his guard and slashes his side. Dev stumbles, bleeding heavily. Students scream. The line is about to break. Dev looks back at his sister, who is struggling to stand. He remembers his father serving them lentils with his own hands, telling them to grow strong roots. Dev refuses to fall. He plants his feet, drawing on every ounce of the Pranayama Sutra. In the face of death, his bottleneck shatters. Dev breaks into level 3. His fire erupts in a blinding shockwave, pushing the front line of demons back, but he is completely spent. He collapses to one knee. Chapter 39, The General of the Abyss. Narrator tone, oppressive, terrifying, making the listener feel the sheer weight of a Tier 3 presence. The swarm of lesser demons suddenly stops. They part like the Red Sea. The temperature in the hall drops to freezing. Out of the breach steps an extraterritorial demon general. It is 15 feet tall, possessing 4 arms holding jagged blades of dark matter. It is a genuine Tier 3 boss, Siddhi Master equivalent. The sheer spiritual pressure radiating from the general forces every student in the hall, including Dev and Tara, flat onto their stomachs. The oxygen seems to vanish from the room. The general looks down at the exhausted Dev. It raises one of its massive blades to execute the boy who caused so much trouble. Tara screams. Dev closes his eyes, accepting his fate. But the blade never falls. A shadow drops from the ceiling of the grand hall. It is completely silent. One of the Marut guards lands squarely on the general's shoulders, driving 2 daggers directly into its eyes. The general roars in pain and swats the assassin away, but the distraction is made. Chapter 40, Deep Lore Interlude, The Vetra and the Storm. Audiobook note, the second scheduled lore interlude. The narrator's voice deepens, accompanied by the low, ominous rumble of distant thunder. The lore, the narrator explains the mythology of Indra, the king of heavens and the god of storms. In the ancient epics, when the Azure of Vritra hoarded all the waters of the world and brought humanity to the brink of extinction, normal weapons could not pierce his hide. The gods had to forge a weapon from the bones of a legendary sage, Dadhaki, who willingly gave his life for Dharma. The result was the Vajra, the thunderbolt. It is not just a weapon of lightning, it is the conceptual manifestation of absolute, unbreakable resolve and the wrath of the heavens against demonic forces. The scene resumes, the thunder in the audio grows deafening. The sky above the academy, previously choked with black miasma, suddenly churns with violent, unnatural purple storm clouds. The roof of the Grand Assembly Hall is blown inward, not by an explosion, but by a colossal pillar of pure, white-hot lightning. The General of the Abyss looks up in terror. Hovering in the center of the shattered roof, crackling with localized lightning and the golden aura of a newly ascended Tier 3 Siddhi Master, is Vivaan. In his right hand, he holds a weapon made of pure, blinding electricity, the Vajra. You have touched my blood, Vivaan's voice booms, echoing with the thunder of the gods, loud enough for the entire academy to hear. For this, your ashes will not be permitted to touch the earth. Here is the next installment, chapters 41 through 50. This section concludes the Academy Invasion mini-arc with a spectacular display of Tier 3 power, solidifies the Roy clan's position on the national stage, and sets the foundation for the awakening of the ancient dynasties. Chapter 41, The Wrath of Indra. Narrator tone, mythic, awe-inspiring, the audio mixing should sound like standing in the center of a hurricane. The Grand Assembly Hall is bathed in the harsh, strobing light of the Vajra. Vivaan floats above the shattered roof, a Tier 3 Siddhi Master. The Demon General of the Abyss roars, a sound that vibrates the marrow in the student's bones. It leaps, its forearms swinging blades of concentrated dark matter, aiming to cleave Vivaan out of the sky. Vivaan's expression is utterly tranquil. He does not dodge. He channels his golden prana into the Vajra. Lightning is chaotic, Vivaan's ancient voice echoes, but the thunderbolt is absolute. He brings the Vajra down in a single, devastating arc. It does not shoot a beam of electricity, instead, a massive, conceptual pillar of white light crashes from the heavens directly onto the Demon General. The dark matter blades vaporize instantly. The General's screams are drowned out by a localized sonic boom. The demon is slammed into the bedrock, its Tier 3 spiritual armor shattering like glass beneath the divine weight of the thunderbolt. Chapter 42, Ash and Silence. Narrator tone, hushed, reverent, contrasting the explosive violence with sudden, absolute stillness. The light fades. The storm clouds dissipate. Where the Demon General stood, there is only a crater of smooth, fused glass, and a handful of black ash. The threat that nearly wiped out the Academy's elite was erased in a single strike. Vivaan descends slowly, his feet touching the ruined floor of the hall. The surviving students, including the arrogant dynasty heirs, are frozen in sheer terror and awe. None dare to breathe. Vivaan ignores them all. The fearsome aura of the thunder god vanishes, replaced by the warm, aching concern of a grandfather. He walks to where Dev is kneeling, bleeding from his side, shielding Tara. Dev looks up, exhausted, a weak smile on his face. We held the line, grandfather. Vivaan drops to his knees. For the first time, his calm facade cracks with genuine emotion. He places his glowing hands on their wounds, channeling pure, healing prana. You did more than hold it, my boy. You built a fortress. Rest now. Your war is over. Chapter 43, The Merit Cleansing. Narrator tone, cold, militaristic, and brutally efficient. While Vivaan heals his grandchildren, the academy is still swarming with thousands of lower tier Asuras. But the battlefield has changed. The 12 shadows of the Merit Guard have deployed. Armed with the Vayu mantra, Windwalk art, and mid-grade spiritual blades provided by Vivaan, they move through the courtyards like a scythe through wheat. They do not roar or use flashy techniques. They slip through the shadows, slitting throats and piercing nerve clusters. Within 30 minutes, the screeches of the demons stop completely. The Merit Guard converges on the massive, bleeding spatial rift in the central courtyard. They kneel in a circle around it, awaiting their patriarch. Vivaan steps out of the grand hall. He walks to the rift, channeling his Tier 3 earth prana the Bhumikavika into the bedrock, violently forcing the dimensional tier to seal itself shut. The invasion is over. Chapter 44, The Patriarch Revealed. Narrator tone, political, tense, shifting to the broader implications of Vivaan's actions. The scene, 2 hours later. The national military and the academy elders finally arrive with heavy hover cruisers, having been delayed by demonic interference. They expect to find a graveyard. Instead, they find the corpses of thousands of demons stacked neatly into pyres. The students are battered but alive. And sitting calmly on a piece of rubble, sipping tea from a thermos brought by his guards, is Baitan Roy, the supposedly sickly, Tier 1 provincial patriarch. The chief elder of the academy, a level 6 chakra warrior, rushes forward, intending to demand answers. But as he steps within 20 feet of Vivaan, the sheer, passive spiritual gravity of a Tier 3 master brings the elder to his knees. The Roy clan expects a formal apology, Vivaan says softly, not looking up from his tea. We entrusted our heirs to your halls, and you allowed dogs to hunt them. The political landscape of India shifts in an instant. The Roy clan is no longer a provincial family, they are under the protection of a living Maharati-level entity. Chapter 45, Return to Bengal. Narrator tone, soothing, restorative, focusing on the safety of home. The scene, Vivaan does not leave Dev and Tara at the academy. He withdraws them, stating that the capital's foundations are rotting. They board the stealth transport and return to the ancestral estate in Bengal. The estate is a stark contrast to the blood-soaked academy. It is peaceful, smelling of jasmine and incense. Vivaan confines Dev and Terra to bed rest for a week, personally cooking them nutrient-rich, prana-infused meals to replenish their drained cores. The local factions in Bengal, hearing the news from the capital, are terrified. The Singh clan, who had once threatened Vivaan in the tea house, sends chests of pure jade and ancient texts as an apology, completely submitting to the Roy clan's supremacy. Vivaan doesn't even meet their envoys, he simply has the Merit Guard accept the tribute. Chapter 46, The Weight of the Crown. Narrator tone, introspective, focusing on character growth and the burdens of power. The scene, a week later. Dev and Terra are sitting on the veranda. They are fully healed, and Dev has solidified his breakthrough into Tier 3, Level 7. They watch their grandfather tending to a bonsai tree in the courtyard. The illusion of the frail old man is completely gone. They now know he is a titan. He killed a Tier 3 general in one strike, Dev whispers. I couldn't even stand up under its pressure. Terra nods, her eyes sharp. He's protecting us, Dev. But the beasts will keep coming. We can't let him be the only pillar holding up the sky. If he is the roots, we must become branches made of iron. They vow to stop relying solely on their inherited bloodline and dive deeply into the brutal, meditative aspects of the Pranayama Sutra. The hot-blooded youth has been tempered into cold, focused steel. Chapter 47, Sign-In at the Azura Core. Narrator tone, mystical, heavily focused on the system and crafting progression. The scene, late at night, Vivaan descends into his subterranean armory. He withdraws the only thing he took from the demon general, its demonic core. It is a jagged, pulsing crystal of dark matter. System, Sign-In using the Tier 3 demonic core as a catalyst. Sign-In successful. High-risk catalyst detected. Purifying demonic aura. Success. Reward, the Vishvakarma Matrix, Divine Crafting Manual, dot. Knowledge floods Vivaan's mind. Vishvakarma is the divine architect of the gods. This is not a weapon, it is the absolute knowledge of spiritual metallurgy, arrays, and armor forging. Vivaan smiles. His children fought in simple cloth robes at the academy. Never again. Chapter 48, The Looming Shadows. Narrator tone, ominous, grand, expanding the world building to set up Arc 3. The scene, the narrative cuts away from the Roy estate. The narrator explains that the massive spike of prana from the Forbidden Zone, coupled with the divine energy of Vivaan's Vetra, sent shockwaves through the planet's deep ley lines. Deep beneath the Thar desert, a massive tomb buried under miles of sand begins to tremble. The mummified corpses of war elephants twitch. In the Himalayas, a glacier cracks open, revealing a frozen palace suspended in time. The ancient dynasty's kings, warlords, and despots who sealed themselves away thousands of years ago to wait for the pranic resurgence are waking up. They sense the modern world, and they sense the powerful golden prana of the Suryavansha burning in Bengal. They view the modern sects not as allies against the demons, but as subjects to be conquered. Chapter 49, The Forging of Kavika. Narrator tone, rhythmic, industrial yet magical. The sound of a hammer striking an anvil should play subtly in the background. The scene, Vivaan spends 3 days locked in the armory. Using the Vishvakarma matrix, he melts down the tribute jade from the Singh clan and purifies the dark matter of the Azura core using his solar fire. He forges 2 sets of Kavika, spiritual armor, for his grandchildren. They are not bulky, medieval suits. They are sleek, modern underarmor interwoven with golden threads of prana arrays. When he presents them to Dev and Terra, he explains their function. This is not just steel, he says. The arrays will passively absorb ambient prana to recharge your cores, and they will completely neutralize minor demonic miasma. The world is getting older, my children. The ancient ghosts are waking up. You must be armored in Dharma. Chapter 50, Deep Lore Interlude, The Cycles of Time, Yugas. Audiobook note, the 3rd scheduled lore interlude. The narrator's voice becomes deeply philosophical and cosmic. The lore, the narrator explains the Hindu concept of the Yugas, the 4 epochs of time. 1 Satya Yuga, the age of truth, where the gods walked the earth and prana was infinite. 2 Treta Yuga and Dvapara Yuga, the Middle Ages, where prana slowly waned, resulting in the epic wars of mythology, like the Ramayana and Mahabharata. 3 Kali Yuga, the current age. An age of darkness, spiritual blindness, and dead ley lines. The great revelation is this: Earth was supposed to remain in the Kali Yuga for thousands of more years. But the extraterritorial demons, the Asuras from deep space, are trying to force a premature reset of the universe. The pranic resurgence is actually the demons forcibly injecting chaotic energy into the Earth's core, attempting to violently shatter the Kali Yuga to feast on the cosmic energy released by a dying epoch. Cultivators believe they are blessed by the returning magic. Vivaan knows the truth: they are passengers on a sinking ship, fighting over the water pouring in. This establishes the cosmic, Tier 5 endgame stakes early, giving profound meaning to the battles ahead. Here is the next installment, covering chapters 51 through 60. We now transition fully into Arc 3, Resurgence of the Ancient Dynasties. The stakes elevate from survival against mindless beasts to a clash of ideologies and eras, while fulfilling the crucial plot point of the divine birth. Chapter 51, The Return of the Eldest. Narrator tone, warm, domestic, but laced with the underlying tension of a changing world. The scene, the narrative returns to the Roy ancestral estate in Bengal. A battered, military-grade transport vehicle pulls up to the gates. Out steps Rohan, Baitan's eldest grandson, Dev and Terra's older brother. Rohan is a rugged level 4 chakra warrior who has spent the last 5 years fighting on the brutal Himalayan borders. He has brought his heavily pregnant wife, Maya, to the estate seeking refuge, having heard rumors of a hidden master protecting Bengal. Rohan expects to find his family estate in ruins. Instead, he finds a fortress humming with pure prana. The Merit Guard patrols silently in the shadows. Dev and Tara, wearing their sleek new kavaka, spiritual armor, greet him not as helpless siblings, but as hardened level 3 cultivators. The greatest shock comes when Rohan meets his grandfather, Vivaan. The frail man he remembers is gone. Vivaan greets Rohan with a warm embrace, the sheer, ocean-like depth of his tier 3 prana instantly washing away Rohan's battle fatigue. The family is reunited under one impenetrable roof. Chapter 52, The Sands of the West. Narrator tone, grand, ancient, shifting to a sweeping, cinematic scale. The scene, we cut to the Thar Desert in western India. The massive spike in planetary prana has cracked a subterranean seal dating back to the Dvapara Yuga, the era of the Mahabharata. A massive pyramid of black sand collapses, revealing an ancient, subterranean city. From the dust emerges King Vrishak, a forgotten warlord from a bygone era. He is an imposing figure, heavily armored in bronze that pulses with dormant enchantments. He is a tier 3, level 9, Siddhi master, possessing centuries of combat experience. With him awakens his vanguard, thousands of mummified soldiers and towering, fossilized war elephants whose bones are etched with protective mantras. King Vrishak looks at the modern world. He does not see a civilization defending against demons, he sees weak, undisciplined children squandering the earth's jade. He declares that the age of modern sex is over. The era of kings has returned. Chapter 53, The Demands of the Past. Narrator tone, political, tense, highlighting the helplessness of the modern factions. The scene, King Vrishak marches his undead army to the borders of the nearest modern province. The local martial sects send out their finest level 5 and 6 elders to negotiate. Vrishak doesn't even draw his weapon. He uses a sonic mantra, a terrifying roar that shatters the modern cultivators' eardrums and crushes their internal organs. Vrishak sends messengers across the country with a royal decree. Every major faction must surrender their jade mines, disband their academies, and send their strongest youths to serve in his vanguard. If they refuse, their cities will be trampled to dust. A messenger arrives in Bengal. Vivaan reads the decree in his study. He doesn't show anger. He simply takes a candle, burns the parchment to ash, and instructs the Merit Guard to send the ashes back to Vrishak in an urn. Chapter 54, The Gathering Storm. Narrator tone, suspenseful, transitioning from the macro-politics to the intimate family drama. The scene, the tension in India is palpable. Several minor sects immediately surrender to Vrishak, swelling his ranks. He begins a slow, unstoppable march toward Bengal to punish the Roy clan for their defiance. But inside the Roy estate, Vivaan is entirely focused on something else. Maya has gone into labor. The pregnancy is difficult, the ambient prana in the world is too chaotic, and it is straining Maya's mortal body. Vivaan sits outside the delivery room, his eyes closed. He extends his golden Suryavansha prana, creating a localized dome over the estate to filter out the chaotic energy of the Kali Yuga. He is using his immense tier 3 power simply to ensure a safe birth for his great-grandchild, demonstrating his absolute prioritization of family over war. Chapter 55, The Divine Blessing. Narrator tone, awe-inspiring, transcendent. The audio mix should feature the faint, echoing sound of a conch shell, shanka, an ethereal wind. The scene, midnight. The child is born. The moment the baby takes its first breath, a massive celestial phenomenon occurs. The dark sky over Bengal suddenly turns a deep, twilight blue. Spectral, golden lotuses rain down from the clouds, melting into pure spiritual energy before they touch the ground. The deep, resonant boom of a divine shanka echoes across the entire continent, loud enough to temporarily halt Vrishak's marching army hundreds of miles away. Vivaan enters the room. The child, a boy named Rudra, is healthy. But on his forehead is a faint, glowing vertical slit. The third eye, Vivaan whispers in absolute reverence. Because Vivaan has purified the bloodline and accumulated massive positive karma by saving the academy, the heavens have blessed this child with the innate gaze of Lord Shiva. Rudra will be able to see the flow of all prana, pierce any illusion, and see the truth of the universe. Chapter 56, The Warlord's Greed. Narrator tone, sinister, avaricious, showing the corruption of the ancient kings. The scene, in his war camp, King Vrishak stares at the sky over Bengal. He recognizes the phenomenon. He knows a child with absolute, pure, divine karma has just been born. In the ancient times, such a child would be revered. But Vrishak's mind is corrupted by his long burial. He believes that if he can capture the infant and consume its innate prana, he will easily shatter his bottleneck and ascend to tier 4, Maharati, making him a god on earth. He abandons his slow conquest. He orders his fossilized war elephants and chariot riders into a forced march, aiming directly for the heart of Bengal. The target is no longer the jade mines, it is the child. Chapter 57, The Shield of Bengal. Narrator tone, fast-paced, militaristic, emphasizing tactical deployment. The scene, Vivaan senses Vrishak's killing intent rolling across the ley lines. He does not panic. He summons Dev, Tara, and Rohan to the courtyard. The ghosts of the past are knocking, Vivaan says calmly, wrapping the infant Rudra in a blanket infused with protective arrays. They come for our blood. Show them that the Roy clan is not a relic. He deploys his family. He does not go to the front lines himself. Instead, he sends Rohan to command the regular sect guards, while Dev and Terra act as the vanguard. The Merit Guard is sent into the wilderness to set traps. Vivaan stays at the estate, anchoring the defensive dome over the newborn. He wants his grandchildren to test their new kavika and weapons against real armies. Chapter 58, Clash of Eras. Narrator tone, high-stakes action, contrasting the brute force of the ancients with the refined tactics of the modern era. The scene, Vrishak's vanguard chariots pulled by undead beasts clashes with the Roy clan's defensive line at the borders of Bengal. The ancient army expects the modern cultivators to break in terror. Instead, they meet Dev coated in his kavika. Dev wades into the chariots. His broadsword, fueled by the Agniastra spark, severs the thick bronze wheels and incinerates the undead drivers. Terra is a blur of motion. She uses her twin sabers to target the joints of the massive, fossilized war elephants. Her blades, incredibly sharp and focused by the Pranayama Sutra, slice through the ancient bone like butter. The ancient soldiers are physically stronger, but the Roy siblings are faster, smarter, and their foundation is completely devoid of the flaws the ancients expected. Chapter 59, The Patriarchs Decree. Narrator tone, epic, heavy, moving into a colossal confrontation. The scene, Vrishak, enraged that his vanguard is being halted by two children, steps off his royal palanquin. He draws a massive, serrated mace that pulses with the heavy gravity of the earth. As a peak tier 3 master, his mere presence begins to suffocate the battlefield. He raises his mace to crush Dev. Suddenly, the sky above the battlefield darkens. A colossal pillar of golden fire crashes down between Vrishak and Dev, melting the sand into glass. Vivaan steps out of the flames. He has left a clone of pure prana to guard the baby. His true body has arrived on the battlefield. Vrishak sneers at Vivaan. You possess strong fire, old man, but you do not know the ancient ways of war. Bow before your king. Vivaan looks at the arrogant warlord with cold pity. You slept through the death of your era, Vrishak, Vivaan says, his voice vibrating with the power of the Vetra. You are not a king. You are just dust that forgot to settle. Chapter 60, Deep Lore Interlude, The Third Eye and Maya. Audiobook note, the fourth scheduled lore interlude. The narrator's voice drops into a calm, philosophical cadence, providing a breather after the intense battlefield stare-down. The lore, the narrator explains the spiritual significance of the third eye, the Ajna Chakra, in Hindu mythology, belonging most famously to Lord Shiva. When Shiva opens his third eye, it emits a fire that destroys kama, desire/lust, and burns away maya, the grand illusion of the material world. The narrator explains that the universe is layered in illusions, from the petty squabbles over jade mines to the false pride of kings like Vrishak. The child, Rudra, was born with this blessing because Vivaan's actions have aligned perfectly with Dharma, righteous duty without attachment. The child's destiny is not just to be strong, but to eventually see through the ultimate illusion of the extraterritorial demons. The demons use humanity's greed and the ancient king's pride to keep Earth divided. The third eye is the universe's immune system manifesting to finally see the disease for what it is. This lore beautifully foreshadows the cosmic truths Vivaan will face in the final arc of the story. Here is the next batch of chapters, continuing Arc 3 with the epic clash against King Vrishak, and strictly removing the phrase you specified to keep the formatting cleaner. Chapter 61, The Purity of the Sun. Narrator tone, intense, demonstrating absolute control and the difference between raw power and refined mastery. The battlefield is bathed in the golden light of Vivaan's flame. King Vrishak, enraged by the disrespect, swings his earth-crushing mace at the golden avatar. The strike carries the weight of a mountain, meant to flatten Vivaan into the sand. Vivaan does not dodge. He raises a single, glowing hand. The massive bronze mace strikes his palm, but it does not crush him. Instead, the incredible heat of the Suryavansha bloodline instantly superheats the ancient metal. Vrishak gasps as his weapon glows white-hot, burning his hands through his thick gauntlets. He realizes with horror that while they are both technically Tier 3 masters, their foundations are worlds apart. Vrishak relied on the naturally dense prana of his era, but Vivaan's prana is flawlessly compressed and purified by the system and his past life discipline. It is the difference between a massive boulder and a diamond point. Chapter 62, Shattering the Bronze. Narrator tone, fast-paced, climactic, ending with a profound sense of finality. Realizing he is outmatched in standard combat, Vrishak sacrifices his war elephants. Using a forbidden blood mantra, he drains their remaining unholy energy to artificially boost his strength, encased in a swirling sandstorm of dark prana. Vivaan's avatar sighs, a sound that echoes like a crackling hearth. You defile the beasts of the earth for your pride. I will show you true fire. He fully manifests the Agniastra. Because he is using a clone made of pure energy, he pushes past the Tier 2 recoil limitations. A blinding spear of concentrated solar fire forms in his grip. He hurls it. The spear pierces the sandstorm, hits Vrishak square in the chest, and detonates. The ancient bronze armor melts into slag. Vrishak's core shatters. The warlord turns to ash, scattered by the wind of his own failing spell. Chapter 63, Spoils of the Past. Narrator tone, pragmatic, resource-focused, heavily emphasizing the LitRPG/cultivation aspect of looting and upgrading. The golden avatar looks back at Dev and Terra, gives a proud nod, and dissipates into motes of light, returning its experiences to Vivaan's true body far away in the estate. Dev and Terra stand amidst the massive ruins of the ancient vanguard. The ancient army, tethered to Vrishak's life force, collapses into inanimate dust and bone. But the resources remain. Dev coordinates the surviving modern sect members to harvest the massive, fossilized bones of the war elephant's materials perfectly suited for crafting Tier 3 defensive arrays. Terra gathers the shattered remnants of Rishak's bronze armor in his spatial pouch, uncovering centuries of hoarded jade and ancient, though flawed, cultivation manuals. The Roy clan has just secured the wealth of an entire dead dynasty. Chapter 64, The World Watches. Narrator tone, political, expansive, shifting the camera to a global perspective. High above the Earth, military satellites and the scrying arrays of the top-tier sects in the capital capture the entire battle. The modern world is in shock. For weeks, they had been losing ground, terrified by the awakening of the ancients who seemed invincible. Yet, a single, reclusive patriarch in Bengal just annihilated an ancient king's vanguard without even leaving his front porch. The political paradigm shifts violently. The ancient dynasties realize the modern era has fangs. The modern sects realize they have a beacon. Almost overnight, the Roy clan transforms from a powerful regional family into the unofficial cornerstone of the modern world's resistance. Chapter 65, The Grandfather's Lullaby. Narrator tone, tender, intimate, contrasting the brutality of war with profound domestic love. Back at the estate, the true Vivaan sits in a rocking chair in the nursery. He holds baby Rudra in his arms. The child's third eye occasionally flickers open, glowing with a terrifying, untamed cosmic energy that threatens to overwhelm the infant's fragile mortal body. Vivaan knows the heaven's blessing is heavy. He gently strokes the baby's forehead. He begins to sing an ancient Vedic lullaby. It is not just a song, it is a profound sealing array. With each note, Vivaan weaves threads of his golden prana into the child's aura, placing a soft, protective seal over the third eye. Sleep, little storm, Vivaan whispers. The world is loud, but it cannot reach you here. Grow strong first. The truth can wait. The baby coos, the intense light fading to a peaceful slumber. Chapter 66, The Marat's Expansion. Narrator tone, cold, calculating, moving into shadow ops and empire building. Vivaan knows Rishak was just the beginning. Dozens of other kings will wake, and they will seek revenge. He descends into his subterranean armory. Using the immense wealth looted from Rishak's army, he expands the Marat Guard. He recruits 96 more orphans and outcasts, bringing the total to 108, a sacred number in Hinduism. He outfits them all in the newly forged ancient bronze weave armor and drills the Vayu mantra into their minds. He deploys them not as soldiers, but as a sprawling intelligence network across India. They are his eyes and ears in the shadows, instructed to monitor the ley lines and report any tremors that signal the awakening of the next great threat. Chapter 67, The Emperor of Ice. Narrator tone, chilling, overwhelming, building immense dread for the next major antagonist. Deep in the Himalayas, the Marat Guard detects a terrifying anomaly. A glacier violently shatters. From the ice emerges Emperor Himavat. He is not a Tier 3 master like Rishak. He is a true Tier 4 Maharati. His mere awakening drops the temperature of the entire northern province by 20 degrees. He does not march or shout decrees. He simply occupies a modern border city, and within an hour, the entire metropolis buildings, vehicles, and a million citizens is frozen solid in absolute zero spiritual ice. Himavat sits on a throne of frozen skyscrapers, waiting. He knows the strong will come to him to pay tribute, and the weak will freeze. Chapter 68, The Alliance of Necessity. Narrator tone, tense, diplomatic, filled with the clashing egos of powerful leaders. The modern sects panic. A Tier 4 entity is a walking natural disaster. Within days, a fleet of high-end hover cruisers descends upon the Roy estate in Bengal. Outsteps the chief elder of the National Academy, alongside the patriarchs of the top 5 martial sects in India. These are men and women who previously looked down on the provinces. Now, they kneel at Vivaan's gates. They are ushered into the receiving hall. They beg Vivaan to lead a unified coalition against Emperor Himavat. You are the only one who can match the power of the ancients, the chief elder pleads. If Himavat marches south, India is lost. Chapter 69, The Burden of Leadership. Narrator tone, reluctant but resolute, emphasizing the iron will of the patriarch. Vivaan sits at the head of the table, sipping tea. He looks at the desperate, arrogant leaders who abandoned his grandchildren at the academy. I am not a king, Vivaan states clearly. I do not want your lands, and I do not want your titles. I am a father. He sets his cup down. But the snow threatens my roof. I will lead your vanguard. Before they can celebrate, Vivaan releases a fraction of his terrifying spiritual pressure. The room groans. But you will fight under my absolute command. You will swear an oath on your Dharma. If any of you break ranks, or attempt to use my family as fodder, I will not let Himavat kill you. I will do it myself. The sect leaders, pale and trembling, swear the oath. The human alliance is born. Chapter 70, Deep Lore Interlude, The Maharati. Audiobook note, the 5th scheduled lore interlude. The narrator's voice becomes grand, educational, and slightly terrifying, establishing the sheer scale of the upcoming war. The lore, the narrator breaks down the reality of the Tier 4, Maharati realm. In the ancient texts, a Maharati is defined as a warrior capable of fighting 10,000 ordinary warriors simultaneously. But in the Age of Resurgence, it means something far more dangerous. A Tier 4 cultivator has perfectly synchronized their internal prana with the external ley lines of the earth. They are no longer just manipulating the elements, they become the environment. The narrator explains the concept of the domain. When you fight a Maharati like Emperor Himavat, you are not just dodging ice spears. You are fighting the concept of winter itself. The air freezes your lungs, the ground traps your feet, your own prana becomes sluggish and cold. To defeat a Tier 4, one cannot simply use a sharper sword, one must possess a stronger, opposing will to literally overwrite reality. This sets the stage for an impossible battle, making the listeners wonder how Vivaan, who is currently only at Tier 3, can possibly win. Here is the next installment, chapters 71 through 80. In this sequence, we tackle the monumental challenge of a Tier 3 master facing a Tier 4 entity. To maintain the steady power scaling you requested, Vivaan won't just magically overpower the Emperor. He will use tactical superiority, deep lore mechanics, and his past life discipline to achieve victory, keeping the cultivation system grounded and earned. Chapter 71, The Vanguard of the Sun. Narrator tone, militaristic, tense, emphasizing the grim reality of the coming war. The human alliance mobilizes. For the first time since the pranic resurgence, the disparate martial sects of India march under a single banner. Vivaan does not travel in the luxurious hover cruisers of the sect leaders. He rides in the lead transport with his Marat guard and his grandchildren. Dev and Tara are nervous but resolute, their spiritual armor thrumming with stored energy. As the armada crosses into the northern provinces, the temperature plummets violently. The lush green landscapes give way to unnatural, creeping frost. Cultivators below level 4, Chakra Warrior, begin to shiver uncontrollably. Their internal prana slowing down as the ambient energy of the world is forcefully converted into aspect ice by Emperor Himavat's distant presence. The sect leaders begin to panic, realizing their armies might freeze to death before they even see the enemy. Chapter 72, The Hearth of Dharma. Narrator tone, awe-inspiring, shifting from freezing dread to profound, comforting warmth. The vanguard halts 50 miles from the frozen metropolis. The modern troops are suffering frostbite. The chief elder begs Vivaan to call a retreat. Vivaan steps out of his transport into the howling blizzard. He does not wear a coat, only his simple robes and the dark, passive scales of his Bhumikavika. He closes his eyes and reaches into the depths of his Suryavansha bloodline. The sun does not retreat from the winter, Vivaan says softly. It simply rises. He releases his golden prana. It does not manifest as a destructive fireball. Instead, he casts a massive, shimmering dome of radiant heat that covers the entire encampment. The blizzard parts around them. The freezing soldiers gasp as warmth floods their veins, reinvigorating their sluggish meridians. Vivaan is acting as a living, breathing sun for an army of 10,000 men, a feat of prana control that leaves the sect leaders speechless. Chapter 73, The Shattered City. Narrator tone, haunting, quiet, and deeply atmospheric. The Alliance marches into the frozen city. It is a terrifying monument to Tier 4 power. Skyscrapers are encased in 10-foot thick blue ice. Hovercars are frozen mid-air, held aloft by pillars of frost. Most horrifying are the citizens, millions of people perfectly preserved in ice, their faces frozen in terror. Tara touches a frozen civilian. Because of her pure foundation, she can sense a faint, microscopic heartbeat. They aren't dead, Tara whispers to Dev. The cold is so absolute it suspended their life force. If we kill Himavat, the domain will break, and they might wake up. The stakes are suddenly infinitely higher. This isn't just a battle for territory, it is a massive rescue mission. They cannot simply carpet bomb the city, they must surgically strike the Emperor without shattering the frozen hostages. Chapter 74, The Glacial Legion. Narrator tone, fast-paced action, emphasizing the terrifying adaptability of the environment. As they reach the city center, the ice beneath their feet begins to shift. Emperor Himavat does not need a living army. He commands the environment itself. Massive golems made of compressed, spiritually infused ice tear themselves from the sides of buildings. They are level 5 and level 6 constructs, entirely devoid of pain or fear. The sect leaders send their elite disciples forward, but their standard martial arts bounce off the diamond-hard ice. Do not waste your prana on blunt force. Dev roars, taking command of the front lines. He activates the Agniastra spark in his broadsword. Ice is brittle to heat. Focus on their joints. Melt the hinges. Dev and Tara lead the charge. Their fire and speed act as scalpels, dismantling the massive golems while the modern sects provide covering fire. The grandchildren are proving they belong at the absolute pinnacle of the younger generation. Chapter 75, The Throne of Absolute Zero. Narrator tone, oppressive, chilling. The audio should sound muffled, as if the air itself is too cold to carry sound. At the heart of the city, suspended on a floating glacier above the central plaza, sits Emperor Himavat. He is a towering figure draped in white furs and armor made of eternal frost. He looks down at the skirmish with utter boredom. He raises a single finger. The ambient prana in the city vanishes. The sect leaders gasp for air, suddenly unable to draw energy from the world. A localized, hyper-concentrated blizzard descends directly onto the vanguard. Dev's fiery broadsword sputters and goes out. Tara's movements grind to a halt. The sheer, conceptual weight of a Tier 4 domain is crushing them. Himavat speaks, his voice like cracking glaciers. Worms. You bring a candle to the abyss and call yourselves the Sunday. Chapter 76, Stepping Out of the Shadow. Narrator tone, epic, solitary, focused entirely on the clash of massive auras. The modern army is pinned to the ground by the spiritual pressure. Only one man remains standing. Vivaan walks forward. With every step, the ice beneath his feet sublimates into steam. He is not trying to match Himavat's raw, Worldly domain. He is currently only at the peak of Tier 3. If he tries to overpower a Tier 4 with brute force, his meridians will burst. System, Vivaan whispers inwardly. Analyze the structural integrity of his domain. Ding. Analysis complete. The target is forcefully drawing prana from the local ley lines, acting as a parasite. Connection point identified, the central plaza bedrock. Vivaan smiles. Himavit is powerful, but he is fundamentally disconnected from the modern earth. He relies on force, not harmony. Chapter 77, The Starving Winter. Narrator tone, tactical, explaining the high-level mechanics of the magic system in real time. Himavit hurls a spear of absolute zero at Vivaan, a strike meant to freeze his soul. Vivaan doesn't block it with fire. He stamps his foot. The Bhumi Kavaka, earth armor, activates, but he doesn't use it on himself. He sends the earth-aligned prana deep underground, directly into the city's ley lines. Using his flawless, past-life understanding of the Pranayama Sutra, Vivaan acts as a spiritual dam. He pinches the ley line shut. Suddenly, the endless supply of icy prana fueling Himavit's domain stutters. The absolute zero spear loses its conceptual weight and shatters harmlessly against Vivaan's passive golden aura. Himavit's eyes widen in shock. He is a king who commands the world, but Vivaan has just politely told the world to stop listening to him. Chapter 78, The Forge of the Heavens. Narrator tone, climactic, blazing, delivering the ultimate payoff of the battle. With Himavit temporarily starved of ambient prana, his Tier 4 domain fractures. Vivaan does not hesitate. This is his window. He channels the entirety of his level 9 Suryavansh reserves. The air around him ignites. He summons the Vetra in his left hand and the conceptual spark of the Agniastra in his right. You rely on the cold because your heart is dead, Emperor, Vivaan's ancient voice booms across the plaza. But the fire of Dharma cannot be extinguished by the past. He claps his hands together, violently forcing the lightning of Indra and the fire of Agni to merge. The resulting projectile is a miniature, blindingly white sun. He hurls it into the floating glacier. Chapter 79, The Spring Thaw. Narrator tone, triumphant, transitioning to a serene, beautiful aftermath. The explosion is silent, a pure shockwave of heat and light. The floating glacier instantly vaporizes. Emperor Himavit, cut off from his power source and struck by the combined wrath of two divine armaments, is incinerated. The moment Himavit dies, the Tier 4 domain shatters like glass. A wave of warm, golden energy washes over the city. The 10-foot thick ice covering the skyscrapers melts into a gentle rain. The citizens, suspended in absolute zero, collapse to the ground, coughing, shivering, but alive. The sect leaders stare at Vivaan in absolute reverence. A Tier 3 master just toppled a Tier 4 emperor by outsmarting the world itself. The legend of the Patriarch of Bengal is now permanently etched into the history of the Age of Resurgence. Chapter 80, Deep Lore Interlude, The Prana Ecosystem. Audiobook note, the 6th scheduled lore interlude. The narrator adopts a scholarly, ecological tone, explaining the deeper mechanics of the planet. The lore, the narrator explains why Vivaan's strategy worked. Prana is not just magical fuel, it is the planet's circulatory system. In the ancient eras, kings like Vrishak and Himavit ruled by hoarding this energy, acting like massive dams that stopped the flow of the river to empower themselves. This selfishness is what caused the Kali Yuga, the Dark Age. In the first place, the earth simply ran out of freely flowing energy. When the ancients awaken today, they try to do the same thing, parasite the ley lines to recreate their domains. Vivaan's flawless foundation is different. He does not hoard prana, he cycles it. He breathes with the earth, not against it. That is why a Tier 3 who harmonizes with Dharma can defeat a Tier 4 who opposes it. This interlude reinforces the central theme of the story: true power comes from responsibility and connection, not just mindless accumulation and arrogance. Here is the next installment, covering chapters 81 through 90. In this sequence, we focus on the aftermath of Emperor Himavit's defeat, the consolidation of the modern world, and giving Dev and Tara a chance to solidify their own legends without their grandfather's direct intervention. Chapter 81, The Frozen Heart. Narrator tone, mystical, focused on the profound rewards of high-tier combat. The battlefield is quiet, save for the gentle sound of melting ice. The frozen metropolis is thawing, and the modern alliance troops are rushing to provide medical aid to the millions of newly awakened citizens. Vivaan stands at the epicenter of the crater where the floating glacier once hovered. The physical body of Emperor Himavit was incinerated by the combined Vetra and Agniastra, but a Tier 4 entity leaves behind a profound spiritual anchor. Hovering in the air is a massive, pulsing crystal of absolute zero, the Emperor's Deo Core. System, sign-in using the Tier 4 Deo Core. Sign-in successful. Massive karmic weight detected. Reward, the Brahmastra blueprint, fragment 1/3, and the glacier lotus. Vivaan's eyes widen slightly. The Brahmastra is the ultimate weapon of mythological destruction, capable of annihilating entire realms. He only has a fragment of the knowledge, but it signifies the system is preparing him for Tier 5 cosmic threats. He carefully stores the knowledge and consumes the glacier lotus, a supreme yin herb that perfectly balances his overwhelming yang, Suryavansha fire. Pushing his cultivation to the absolute peak of Tier 3, level 9. The threshold of Tier 4 is now visible. Chapter 82, The Weight of Gratitude. Narrator tone, deeply emotional, highlighting the difference between a conqueror and a protector. The surviving citizens of the northern metropolis are disoriented and freezing, but they are alive. They had been trapped in suspended animation for weeks. Dev and Terra, exhausted from fighting the ice golems, help distribute pure prana drops and warm blankets alongside the regular sect disciples. A young mother, clutching a toddler who was frozen mid-cry, realizes who they are. She falls to her knees in the wet slush, weeping, trying to touch the hem of Terra's robes in absolute gratitude. Terra is overwhelmed. She gently pulls the woman up. "Do not kneel to us," Terra says softly, her voice carrying the calm empathy of her grandfather. "We are not ancient kings. We are just the people holding the umbrellas in the storm." Watching from afar, the sect leaders finally understand why the heavens favor the Roy clan. They don't fight to conquer, they fight to preserve. Chapter 83, The Council of the Thaw. Narrator tone, political, authoritative, setting the new laws of the Age of Resurgence. A week later, the Alliance returns to the capital city, Indraprastha. The sect leaders offer Vivaan the title of Supreme Sovereign of the Human Alliance, complete with a newly forged throne made of purified jade. Vivaan stands before the assembly of the world's most powerful modern cultivators. He does not sit on the throne. He places his hand on it, and with a surge of golden fire, melts the massive jade structure into thousands of small, glowing ingots. "The era of thrones died with the Kali Yuga," Vivaan declares, his voice echoing through the grand hall. "If we hoard this energy, we become the very ghosts we are fighting. These ingots will be distributed to the provincial academies. From this day forward, there are no hidden sects. All cultivation manuals are public. All jade mines are shared. If any clan attempts to monopolize the earth's veins, the Merit Guard will visit them." He turns his back on the empty dais. The sect leaders bow deeply, not out of fear, but out of profound, undeniable respect. Chapter 84, The Southern Tremors. Narrator tone, ominous, shifting the camera away from the victory to a looming, hidden threat. While the North celebrates, the Merit Guard's intelligence network detects a massive disturbance in the south. The Indian Ocean is boiling. Massive whirlpools form off the coast, and the ley lines beneath the seabed are violently disrupted. It is not just another ancient king waking up. It is an entire dormant naval empire, the Chola descendant Naga fleet, ancient warriors who hybridized their bloodlines with sea serpents during the Dvapara Yuga. They are raiding the coastal cities, dragging modern cultivators into the depths to be sacrificed to their slumbering Leviathan god. Vivaan reads the report in his study back in Bengal. He is at the critical juncture of his Tier 4 breakthrough. If he moves now, he risks shattering his Deo. He summons Dev and Terra. "The ocean rises," Vivaan tells them. "But I must remain the anchor. It is time for the twin suns to shine on their own." Chapter 85, Forging the Trident. Narrator tone, rhythmic, focused on preparation and the passing of the torch. Before sending them south, Vivaan unlocks the armory. He uses the Vishvakarma matrix and the remnants of Emperor Himavat's ice core to upgrade their weapons. He does not make their weapons heavier, he refines their conceptual weight. Dev's broadsword is edged with arrays that repel water. Terra's twin sabers are fused with the chilling precision of the northern ice, allowing her to freeze the moisture in the air with every swing. The Naga warriors fight in 3 dimensions above and below the waves, Vivaan instructs them. Fire is weak against the ocean's depth, but heat creates steam, and cold creates ice. Use the environment, just as I did against Himavat. Go. Your family's name goes with you. Chapter 86, The Boiling Coast. Narrator tone, high energy, chaotic, dropping the listener right into the middle of a disaster zone. Dev and Terra arrive at the southern coastal city. The scene is apocalyptic. Massive tsunamis, artificially generated by level 5 Naga priests, batter the coastal energy shields. Undead serpent riders emerge from the surf, wielding tridents made of abyssal coral. The local sects are in full retreat. Dev and Terra drop from their stealth transport directly into the chaotic surf. They do not announce themselves. Dev slams his broadsword into the wet sand. The Agniastra spark flares, instantly flash boiling the shallow waters. A wall of superheated steam erupts, blinding the incoming serpent riders. Terra darts through the steam, her upgraded sabers flashing. Wherever her blades strike, the ocean water freezes instantly, trapping the ancient warriors in jagged tombs of ice. Chapter 87, The Admiral of the Abyss. Narrator tone, tense, claustrophobic, highlighting a battle fought on the enemy's terms. The coastal skirmish halts as the ocean parts. A colossal chariot, drawn by 2 zombified mosasaurs, rises from the depths. Riding it is Admiral Vritran, a peak level 8 Sidhai master of the Naga fleet. He is covered in impenetrable blue scales. "More dry land kindling," Vritran sneers. He strikes his trident against the chariot. The ambient gravity shifts. The water in the air compresses, and suddenly, a localized dome of deep ocean pressure crashes down on Dev and Terra. It is not a Tier 4 domain, but the sheer weight of millions of gallons of water pressing down on their kavika makes their bones groan. Vritran charges, his mosasaur snapping at Dev. Dev swings his heavy blade, but the water pressure slows his strike to a crawl. Vritran's trident pierces Dev's shoulder guard, drawing blood. Chapter 88, The Twin Suns. Narrator tone, fast-paced, triumphant, showing the brilliant synergy of the grandchildren. Dev is bleeding, pinned by the crushing pressure of the water mantra. Terra is struggling to move. Vritran raises his trident for the killing blow. Heat creates steam. Cold creates ice. Their grandfather's voice echoes in their memories. Dev and Terra lock eyes. They don't need telepathy, they have trained together every day. Dev abandons his defense. He channels all his prana into his blade, but he doesn't aim for Vritran. He stabs the ocean beneath them, unleashing the absolute maximum heat of his Tier 3 core. The ocean instantly flash boils into a massive, contained explosion of steam. The sudden expansion of steam violently disrupts Vritran's water pressure dome. In that split second of zero pressure, Tara leaps. She uses the boiling steam as a smokescreen, soaring above the Admiral. She crosses her twin sabers and unleashes the absolute zero power of Himavit's core fragments. She doesn't aim for his impenetrable scales. She aims for the boiling water Dev just created around Vritran. The superheated water instantly freezes. The rapid expansion of the ice acts like a massive vice, crushing the Admiral's chariot and shattering his ribs. Chapter 89, The Taming of the Sea. Narrator tone, majestic, prideful, establishing the siblings as legends in their own right. Admiral Vritran falls, his body broken by the violent extremes of fire and ice. The mosasaurs sever their harnesses and flee back into the deep. The Naga fleet, witnessing the brutal, instantaneous execution of their leader by two youths, breaks morale and retreats beneath the waves. The coastal city erupts into cheers. The modern sect defenders rush out, chanting the names of the Roy clan. Back in Bengal, Vivaan opens his eyes from his meditation. A small, proud smile touches his lips. The system chimes softly in his mind. Host's lineage has established independent karmic weight. Tier 4 bottleneck is now fully destabilized. His children have proven they are branches of iron. The patriarch is finally free to ascend. Chapter 90, Deep Lore Interlude, The Cosmic Ocean, Samadram Manthan. Audiobook note, the 7th scheduled lore interlude. The narrator adopts a deeply mythological, awe-inspiring tone, transitioning the story from planetary politics to the cosmic endgame. The lore, the narrator recounts the ancient Hindu epic of the Samadram Manthan, the churning of the ocean of milk. In the myth, the gods, Devas, and the demons, Asuras, had to work together to churn the cosmic ocean using a mountain as a churning rod and a serpent king as a rope. Their goal was to extract the nectar of immortality, Amrita. However, before the nectar emerged, the churning produced Halahala, the most lethal poison in the universe, capable of destroying all creation. Lord Shiva had to consume the poison to save reality. The narrator reveals the terrifying truth of the Age of Resurgence: the Earth itself is the cosmic ocean. The awakening of the ancient dynasties and the invasion of the extraterritorial demons is the churning process. The massive spikes in prana are just the byproduct. The Asuras are not here just to eat humans, they are trying to churn the Earth's core to extract a literal, planetary scale drop of Amrita to ascend their own species. And the black miasma spreading from the forbidden zones? That is the Halahala, the cosmic poison. The world is waiting for a new Shiva to drink the poison and survive, setting the perfect thematic stage for Vivaan's impending breakthrough to Tier 4, and Baby Rudra's sealed third eye. Here is the next installment, covering chapters 91 through 100. This highly anticipated sequence covers the monumental breakthrough into Tier 4, the shifting focus toward the cosmic threat, and the conclusion of the first 100-chapter milestone of your audiobook. Chapter 91, The Zenith of the Sun. Narrator tone, hushed, reverent, and filled with immense anticipation. Dev and Tara return to the Bengal estate, hailed as the saviors of the southern coast. They expect their grandfather to greet them, but the estate is strangely quiet. The ambient prana in the air feels incredibly heavy, as if the entire atmosphere is holding its breath. Rohan meets them at the gate, placing a finger to his lips. He points toward the central meditation pagoda. Inside, Vivaan sits in the lotus position. He has consumed the glacier lotus, and the opposing forces of Absolute Zero and the Suryavancha fire are violently clashing, yet perfectly balanced, within his core. He has reached the absolute limit of Tier 3, Level 9. The mortal vessel of his body can hold no more energy. To progress to Tier 4, Maharati, he cannot just accumulate more prana, he must force the world itself to recognize his soul as a sovereign domain. Chapter 92, The Pilgrimage of Ascension. Narrator tone, grand, sweeping, emphasizing a spiritual journey over a physical one. Vivaan opens his eyes. The estate cannot withstand the tribulation, he whispers. If he breaks through here, the resulting shockwave would incinerate Bengal. He stands, leaves his protective Bhumikavika armor behind, and steps into the sky. At the peak of Tier 3, flight is effortless. He travels north at supersonic speeds, leaving a trail of golden light across the night sky. He arrives at the ruins of the northern metropolis he saved weeks ago, flying past it deep into the uninhabitable, frozen peaks of the Himalayas. He finds a massive, flat plateau that touches the clouds, a place completely devoid of human life, where the ley lines run deepest. Here, under the stars, the patriarch of the Roy clan prepares to challenge the heavens. Chapter 93, The Tribulation of Dharma. Narrator tone, thunderous, apocalyptic. The audio should feature rolling, heavy bass that shakes the listener. As Vivaan initiates his breakthrough, the system issues a rare, unprompted alert. Warning. Host is attempting to forcefully overwrite local reality. Planetary tribulation initialized. Survival rate, 0.001%. The sky above the Himalayas turns a violent, bruised purple. The Earth, still wounded from the Kali Yuga, actively resists a mortal attempting to steal a piece of its authority. This is not a physical enemy, it is the planet's immune system. A bolt of tribulation lightning, purely black and completely silent, strikes Vivaan. It bypasses his physical body entirely, striking his soul. Vivaan coughs up a mouthful of golden blood. He does not use mantras or weapons. He simply breathes, using the Pranayama Sutra to absorb the destructive energy, forcing the tribulation itself to forge his new, Tier 4 meridians. Chapter 94, Domain of the Morning Sun. Narrator tone, triumphant, majestic, sounding like the break of dawn after a terrible storm. For 3 days and 3 nights, the black lightning strikes. On the dawn of the 4th day, the storm suddenly halts. Vivaan opens his eyes. They no longer just glow, they hold the depth of a burning star. Ding. Breakthrough successful. Host has achieved Tier 4, Maharati, Level 10. Domain established. Vivaan does not flex his aura. He simply exists. But the environment around him alters unconditionally. For 10 miles in every direction, the eternal Himalayan snow instantly melts, grass sprouts from the barren rock, and the temperature rises to a perfect, balmy spring. This is his domain, the morning Sunday. Wherever he stands, the darkness and cold are banished by absolute law. He is now the strongest human entity on the planet. Chapter 95, The Gaze of the Void. Narrator tone, cold, alien, shifting the perspective away from humanity to the horrors above. While Vivaan ascends, the massive spike in Tier 4 energy ripples outward, breaching the Earth's atmosphere. High in orbit, hidden within the shattered dimensions of the Forbidden Zones, the Extraterritorial Demons notice. In a massive, fleshy hive ship that orbits just out of phase with human reality, an Asura overlord opens thousands of eyes. The demons had considered humanity a minor nuisance, livestock squabbling over jade. But a Tier 4 human is a threat to their harvest. The overlord issues a psychic command. Thousands of dimensional rifts tear open simultaneously across the globe, not in the wilderness, but directly above major human population centers. Arc 4, the extraterritorial invasion has officially begun. Chapter 96, The Sky Falls. Narrator tone, chaotic, fast-paced, dropping right into a global emergency. Sirens wail in Indraprastha, Tokyo, New York, and London. Black miasma pours from the sky like rain. The human alliance is caught off guard. These are not the mindless, beast-like demons from the Academy. These are organized, militarized Asura shock troops wielding dark matter weapons and riding biomechanical dropships. In the Indian capital, the defense arrays shatter within minutes. Dev and Terra, acting as the vanguard commanders of the alliance, leap into action. They summon their Kavika and weapons. Dev's fire and Terra's eyes tear through the vanguard, but for every demon they kill, 10 more drop from the rifts. The sheer volume of the invasion threatens to drown the human race in hours. Chapter 97, Shadows in the Blood. Narrator tone, tense, claustrophobic, emphasizing espionage and betrayal. The situation is worse than it appears. The demons did not just attack from the sky, they attacked from within. In the Alliance command bunker, several high-ranking elders suddenly convulse. Their eyes turn pitch black. They had been secretly infected by demonic parasites months ago. The infected elders draw their weapons and turn on their own tacticians, attempting to disable the remaining national shields. Before the infected elders can strike, the shadows in the bunker detach from the walls. The Merit Guard, deployed by Vivaan's foresight months prior, strikes with lethal precision. The Vayu mantra allows them to silence the traitors before a single alarm is raised, securing the command structure. The Roy clan's paranoid preparation saves the alliance from decapitation. Chapter 98, The Eye Cracks. Narrator tone, mystical, alarming, showing the terrifying burden of divine power. Back in the Bengal estate, baby Rudra is crying uncontrollably. The massive concentration of demonic miasma in the global atmosphere is irritating his sealed third eye. Despite the sealing arrays Vivaan placed on him, the sheer cosmic wrongness of the Asura invasion causes the seal to briefly crack. A beam of pure, cosmic light shoots from the infant's forehead, piercing the roof of the estate and projecting a massive, holographic image into the sky over Bengal for all to see. It is an image of the Asura overlord's hive ship hiding in orbit, attached to the Earth's ley lines like a colossal tick. For the first time, humanity sees the true face of their enemy. Chapter 99, The Distance of a Step. Narrator tone, awe-inspiring, demonstrating the absolute, reality-bending power of a Maharati. Dev is fighting a Tier 3 demon elite in the capital. His broadsword is heavy, his prana reserves running low. The demon raises a dark matter blade to execute a group of pinned students. 1,000 miles away in the Himalayas, Vivaan looks south. He does not summon a transport. He steps forward. Using his Tier 4 domain, he folds the distance between the mountains and the capital. He arrives in the center of Indraprastha in a single footstep. The Tier 3 demon elite freezes. Vivaan doesn't draw a weapon. He merely looks at the demon. Under the absolute law of the morning sun domain, the demon's dark matter simply ceases to exist. The creature evaporates into harmless steam. Vivaan looks up at the bleeding sky, his golden aura expanding to cover the entire city. You have overstayed your welcome, the patriarch whispers. Chapter 100, Deep Lore Interlude, The Cosmic Locusts. Audiobook note, the 8th scheduled lore interlude. The narrator adopts a grim, cosmic horror tone. This marks the end of the first major audiobook milestone and sets the stage